rise in the world. Father and mother wait for my first word.
So, welcome to our podcast in the left side of mind, and thank you so much, Bo, for joining us in this episode where we are, inviting you to share your story and how you got into what you are doing right now. So, yeah. So first, let's start with a little bit about you. Tell our viewers, who is Bo, what does he do, everything. Yeah.
Cool. Because lately I've been introducing myself professionally on email. So,
Okay,
like,
great.
Sure, yeah, go
but,
for it.
but really, I think what I tell people like my name is Bo. I'm an undocumented artist from Thailand, and I'm a creative person who loves storytelling, and I do that in different forms, right? Whether that through art, through writing, or through fashion, and I think community is also a big part of me. But
Yeah.
my creative professional bio is like I'm an artist, entrepreneur, and a community organizer. That's like a short concise.
Okay. So besides your professional life, like who is Bo? Like how was your childhood? When did you come here? Tell us a little bit more.
Okay, cool, yeah. So I came here when I was 13. My childhood, I grew up in Thailand. So when I was a baby, I was in the southern part of Thailand. It's called Hat Yai. And then this place called Lat Buri. But I grew up in this place called Krung Thep, which is like the American name is like Bangkok. So I'm trying to say that because even though most of my upbringing later on in life is in the city, I have this like touch of just being in like a lot of nature and countryside, which I think really influenced my love of like nature and that like sit back life. But also like I did also grow up in the city, so it's also like that culture is also in me. And what I remember most about Thailand is street food. I think there's a couple components that I bring with me. It's like eating a lot of street food, riding on a moped. If
Uh-huh.
I, say it again?
Another Thai street food.
Yeah,
Yeah, the nightlife.
nightlife, and even just in general, like like we have like ice cream, and then they put sticky rice in it, and people will come to the school and do that. And
Mm.
there's a lot, and I like fried food too, and a lot of like jumping into like the beach, the waterfall, the river. So I love like water, and I just love like nature and food. Really, I think that's most of my fondest memory from Thailand are those, and just the community, right? Like hanging out with other like kids in the neighborhood, kids at the school, and kids in different places.
Wow. Yeah. So like when you moved here or immigrated here from Thailand, how was your experience like, and that led you to establishing your own brand and your company? Because I know sometimes as an immigrant, like it's tough, without the paperwork, the cultural barriers. How did you navigate through all those? So it's like two-part question.
Okay, I might need you to remind me
Yeah.
again all things, right? But there was
So
the
first,
first.
yeah, how did you come up and like establishing your own brand or like,
Okay,
company? Yeah.
so because I am undocumented, so without like DACA and all that too, I didn't have like authorization to work, right? In a lot of traditional way. So when I was younger, I was working in restaurant, with my family and stuff under the table and things like that. And later when I went to college, I got involved with activism. And I used to tell people that even though I love community, I think I needed community to survive and to find information and resources and exist in that. But for a while, I just relied heavily on law changing and activism to change my current life situation to work, and
Yeah.
even to see my family, because my parents are in Thailand, so I feel like my life was always like a waiting game where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna push for this to change, and then one day it's gonna change. So I feel like my life was in a way on delay, and then I haven't like live fully like who is Bo, right? Like I just know Bo as an undocumented person who one day was able to turn his pain into a sob story for the world to know, hoping that they would change the law accordingly. And I'm just kind of like, I think we all feel that, right? And it's just like I'm more than this, right? I'm more than like these sad stories or these like I deserve to be here because of these things that I've done, and yeah, like I go to school, da da da. So the
Yeah.
narrative really gave a chance for me to be holistic and be a human being. So I created a undocumented art collective where it was a space for other undocumented people and me just to exist. Like we would just get pizza together and draw and write, and then we'll do like shows here and there, like an open mic, and just a place for us to express and be amongst community and people who understand each other. And from there, I think fashion was a vehicle for me to push my art and writing in, because I didn't know how to like sell paintings and like publish a book. So then that's where like I was experimenting with all of that. And then so I planted a lot of these seeds in school. I did created like projects that tell stories of undocumented folks. I did make my own artwork, went to open mic, did a bunch of things. And then when I graduated college, I was gonna go to grad school, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard for me, and I think other people can relate to this. It's hard to make a plan, and it's hard to look forward to things and see your life in a stable sense. For me, it's hard. I think it took me a lot of like running around and falling to
Mm-hmm.
be grounded enough to be like, all right, I need to sit through a lot of these feelings and have hope and faith, which is hard to have. So I never really made long-term plan. It's like, how can I get the money now, and how can I
Yeah.
enjoy life now? And so I didn't go to grad school. I went to bike instead. This is me justifying why I went to bike instead of going to school. So I went to bike instead. It was like 1,800 miles on a bicycle
Wow.
from Seattle to San Diego, so the whole like West Coast. And
Yeah.
this was a campaign for immigration, right? So my friend had hit me with like, "Hey, boy, you want to go?" And I was like, "You know what? I'll never have this experience." And back then I was like, "I'm gonna do whatever I want to do in
Mhm.
life, because nothing is promised, and I might be deported anytime, or might just leave it all one day, you know?" So young Bo was like, "Whatever you want to do it." You feel me? And just stay like, it was survival mode too. And I think through that journey, all that, eventually I ended up with a job at a nonprofit. I showed them all my artwork, and then they took it on tour.
Mhm.
But selling clothes, I moved to Chicago, and I started like selling clothes at underground show in Chicago. And I had learned to screen print and all that. And yeah, and then it was going well. So then I quit everything and then went into doing clothing full time. So that's really how I went from that whole like Thailand activism, life, da da da, to like entrepreneurship, right? So it's like the seed planted a long time ago, and then one day just hop off. And then just transparency wise, it's also hard to do a business and sustain it and all those things. So I also kind of went up and down, where I succeeded for a year. Then mentally, as life hits, I didn't really know how to hold myself mentally. I didn't have the discipline and the knowledge of a business. So then I went broke, and then I also like pick up different jobs. And then I've been wanting to communicate this with a lot of undocumented people too, because I just took the option of getting jobs out of my mind, where I'm like, I can work under the table or be a nonprofit,
Mhm.
even though sometimes it might not feel authentic to me, and I might feel like I feel exploited in terms of my story and like who I am as a person.
Yeah.
But I started to talk to more people and just cold applying on Indeed, and I got a lot of denial, but some people hired me, so it was able to willing to work with me as a contractor and things like that. So I want to put that information out there, because for me it took me a while to even try that. Like I didn't even do LinkedIn at the like maybe second year in the college, not be able to get internship because of lack of work permit. I'm just like, this LinkedIn life is not for me. Like I only am gonna like share my stories for gift card and then get a job with them, or go work under the table, or sell clothes, so I really like box myself in. And it's a blessing and a curse, right? Sometimes you can
Yeah.
only do what you can do, but sometimes you can also have a little bit of trust and faith, even though we keep getting let down by society and by politicians. So yeah, so that was a lot, but
Wow. No, yeah, I think that was a lot to, process for us too. And thank you for like being real and like sharing, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And
Yeah.
like there will be highs and lows, and like you said, I really love the fact where you said you gotta have trust and faith, because you can't let the things really cannot control overwhelm us.
Yeah, I like how you are so open about it. You know, like most of the immigrants or like people who don't have papers, they normally won't mention like how they started like working under the table and stuff like that. I like how you're very open about it and then you want to share.
Yeah.
So I want to know like why you want to share like about that part of your life with everybody.
okay. I think I think it's mixed. In the beginning it was because I needed to. I feel like I needed to share in order to get help.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know how to navigate this life. Nobody knew how to navigate it. So I needed to go out there and talk to a few people, but I needed to open up. And I remember I didn't even want to open up. I was lying a lot to people when I was younger about my family, about my status. And I needed to share with some people at school in order to even like find, yeah, like recently I met this dude named Jose. I called this dude when I was 16 or 17. I'm 20 now. And I remember I went to my school counselor and I told her like, oh, I'm undocumented, da da da. She's just like, all right, I don't know what to do, but we have an alumni who was undocumented. Maybe you can talk to him. So I called this dude off of like Facebook or whatever, and I've never met him. So 10 years later, I met this dude. I think this story is crazy. And at Immigrants Rising event, because I got involved with Immigrants Rising as like entrepreneurship fellow and all these things, and then I met him at an event 10 years later, and I was like, Jose, bro, and like I was like, this is crazy. So it's like, I don't know, that's a sideline, but it's just like, I needed to, right? I needed to tell somebody, and then I went to Immigrant Youth Empowerment Conference at UCLA, and I met like Uplift LA, which is an undocumented API group. And I think a lot of these people really inspired and motivated me because I feel like for the first time I could be open with them and they were able to guide me, but they were able to guide me because they knew who I was. So I think the reason I want to share is because initially I needed a safe space and I needed some guidance. And then now there's a lot of things I wish worked out differently in my life. Continue to share that because I want to communicate with people who are going through the same feeling I'm going through, or are going through something that I went through. So I want to communicate with those folks, right? Like I think that's powerful for me in solidarity and community and in understanding each other because this life can feel so alone and lonely. And there's a lot of people who don't understand at all. And I also sometimes you hold it all in because you don't want to be a burden or you don't want to struggle visibly. So you struggle in silence trying to like make it work and have nobody worry about you, especially from like the family and all that thing. So I needed that too. It's like my little diary. Like I write out, and then especially if I can communicate with other people going through it. And sometimes all we want to do is feel seen, right? Like there's still no solution in terms of the ultimate solution for our lives, but we can always like validate each other and just empower each other that we're still in this life, not in this fight. Because I don't think life is about fighting the whole time, but we can still exist and live our life. So that's really my motivation to share. And even that is a journey, right? Like redefining my relationship with my status, what it means to me and what I want to do to it. So for a long time, I was just sharing my story, fitting other people's narrative and mode of what they wanted me to share. They might have not like specifically asked me, but it felt that. And I think maybe from all your like, I feel like y'all feel me too,
Yeah.
Totally. We're on the same boat. Yeah.
So
I have
like,
a question though, like a lot of people, like how you said, like you need to find a community, like just whatever issues or like problems that you're having, just like try to share it with other people. I feel a lot of people do keep it inside them, but I don't think they know how to bring it out, like they know what to do, but they just don't know how to. So do you have like any recommendation that something that you did that other people did not and that helped you?
can you repeat that one more time, please?
Yeah, like I guess like what I'm trying to ask is, a lot of people, for example, when I was in that situation, I knew that I needed to find a community, right, for myself, but I didn't know how to. So I want to know from you, like, what did you do different, or like, how did you find a community?
I think for me it's luck. I don't think it's what I've done. I'm also, I think it's blessings, right? That I also like just met those people in those times. It could have been very different, right? It could have been like I could have been very salty, right? Like I share a part of me, and all these people are just like racist, not understanding, or trying to fit me in the mold. You know what I mean? I think I was very fortunate that the first few people that I really like bonded with and built with, they already have this understanding and they already went through a lot of those negative situation. And I think they in a way they're trying to warn me too, where they're like, hey bro, like, you know, like community is beautiful, but it's also not super beautiful institutionally, you know. Thing when I was also naive, like, yeah, we're gonna fight for our rights, we're gonna get this. And maybe somewhere along the line I did feel used, you know. Or and then have like high school friends that I went to school with, and then in college, when they knew my status, they switch up on me. Or had like random housemate that was like conservative. So I think a lot of all that happened where I need to debate to them about my own existence. And when some people that I have known outside of my status now no longer accepts me. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that energy of like maybe like sound corny, but like you gotta it's hard to know your own words and to stand and then, you know, to be intentional about being around people who love you, people who see you, and people who can validate and build you up and vice versa. But sometimes I don't know how to find those people, right? I've just been fortunate to run into some of those people, but now I'm just being intentional, holding on to those relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because you're based in LA, right? Right now.
Yeah, right now.
Okay. Yeah, so I think mainly in California there are like there's community who are like undocumented and like are together, you know, in solidarity, like working for the community. And like you said, you know, it can be a matter of luck or taking action, you know, just like taking that step to create a community. For example, if people are in Texas or Arizona, like conservative states, they can like, and I know it's like easier said than done, but I think just taking action on the first step in reaching out to people and creating your own squad, creating your own community.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a very valid point. Because I also don't mean to undermine all of that, right? Like I say,
Yeah.
like I don't what I've done, I think is also my privilege, right? And
Mhm.
just life really. But
No.
I'm not sure. My fault. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah. Okay, so to change up a mood a little bit, let's talk a little bit about your designs. How do you come up with your designs? How do you represent yourself in your designs?
Okay, yeah. So the first design I actually made of a t-shirt
Mhm.
after the whole DACA expansion failed,
Mhm.
and back then I was going to DC and doing all these protests and da da da. And I had wrote it on the plane, existential crisis, because my existence is their crisis. So like so then that was like first design, it was a pic, and then it's like me in distress, you know? So it's like a kind of like, all right, I think art was like me being angsty and emo, but it's like an undocumented angst hit different than like, you know, like the I hate the world, you know? It's really like, man, I don't know what to do in my life. So I was really like art to like journal and write, and it was my best friend, you know, in a way. The only person who I feel like understood me. And then after that, my second design was this Statue of Liberty, which y'all probably have. What do you stand for?
Yeah.
It was more when I had drawn that. I remember it was 2015. It was
Oh.
after the first time I went on this, you know, like this, like activism tour, whatever they. It's called. Pretty much, we went to different states, and I have met a bunch of undocumented people and a bunch of people who are not undocumented, who are like Black and brown and Asian, who was just advocating for immigrants' right and people of color's right. And I was like, damn, there's just many people who care about wellness of people. And I think I was just inspired of how much love there is outside of people who are not even struggling with this or understand it or have intersectionality with it. And I think I started asking myself, like, what does this country stand for to be, quote unquote, the land of the free, land of the freedom? And this is young both, you know? It's like people talk about America a certain way, but I never enjoyed it, you know, to a certain extent. But then, and then I also asked myself, like, what do I stand for though?
Yeah.
You know, like this comes off as like opportunity and freedom, but they had genocide, they had slavery, and they're replicating this policing system and all this oppression with different types of people over and over again, you know, for profit. But where did I stand for in this? I think it came from a place of guilt as well. Like I left my country to
Mhm.
be, I left my family, I left my people, even though it's not by choice. At the same time, I was 13. Like I was out here like, I need to be in America, you know?
Mhm.
But now I continue to choose to stay here. So that was always a internal conflict I have. It's like, why am I still here? Why don't I just go home? Why don't I reunite with my family? Why don't I reunite with my culture? And there's a part I changed and I lost a certain part of me and gained a new part of me in this place that don't accept me. But at the same time, I have people who accept me and have community, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of love too. And I've been able to validate that experience of myself more and more. And I think mentally that's why I struggle with this.
Yeah.
So that's my second design, which is a more prominent design. And most of my design really was just me reflecting on my undocumented experience. And the next one was the no human being is illegal on stolen land, which was something that a lot of people love. And I want to just put it out there. I did not came up with that. That was just a statement that floats around in the community already, and yeah, so I was just like, at the time I see fashion being very hype, right? And being a vehicle of just branding and hip hop and entrepreneur, but I was like, maybe I could put some truth into it, but not in a way of like a protest shirt, where it's like, because I feel like school and nonprofit had a bunch of protest shirt, and I feel like our narratives was being owned or being saved by institution, school and nonprofit and politician, and it's like I'm here, no job, no nothing, and y'all just using me to go spread a narrative to benefit you, and y'all getting paid off of me, so I might as well just do that myself. And I think in the line between empowerment and just like selling your stories, right? And I think now I'm able to say that my branding is my own story of resilience and my need of finding a community. And this clothing brand has also become a vehicle that I found agency. And for a while, I branched off to this artistic bow tie, which I just, sometimes I'm just emotional. I just want to make design out of love, out of emotion, of like heartache and sad story, which I did, And then now I'm at the point in my branding where, I'm trying to make it make sense, right? I'm doing a lot of journaling. Like, yes, it is resilience, but it's not like resilience. Yeah, we're all going to be okay. But it's also like holding space for yourself to feel, and also exploring the multi-dimension of yourself, of your being, on your status and who you are, without trying to reject and neglect any part. And I feel like I struggle with that sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I need to be this quote unquote activist just because of the way a lot of this community seem to be set up in a bigger scale, right? But I also like this, like even me and y'all connecting, like like Regina, like I met you maybe once or twice, but we've been in contact, and like I appreciate all the love and all the things, and we've been talking. So I appreciate that type of relationship, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I know I branch off a lot, but pretty much my design is all over the place. It's just me being creative, me journaling. But now I think with the brand, I'm trying to be more intentional about creating a community around it, which the community already exists, but just more catering more to y'all in an authentic way. This is actually a design.
I saw, stolen land. Yeah, that's
Okay.
so cool.
Okay.
Because
And
I saw,
now,
LA, and I'm like, stolen. That's dope.
and I just made that yesterday. So this is brand new. Like
Okay.
feeling it hella, I'm just like, I really think. And
And you also just recently changed your brand name, right? From
Mhm.
illegal drip to illegally well. Like,
I
does
changed
that
that.
mean like, oh, before you felt like, oh, I was illegal, that kind of that illegal crown in your head, and then after that, it was like, oh, you know what? Even though I'm illegal, I'm still okay. I'm doing fine. Is that what it means?
You got it right.
Yeah.
I think that's what I think too. It's like I don't want to just have this brand of like, back then it was really like, okay, like, yeah, my identity was heavily based on being undocumented, but now it's just more like redefining it. And it was a fighting, right? Like, despite my struggle, I'm gonna make it in life. Despite my struggle, I'm gonna make it home. This, and then I'm gonna find a purpose. I need to sacrifice myself and my story to like for the great. I was feeling myself too much on some crazy shit, And then it was like, you know what, bro, just be well. Like nobody demands anything out of you. Like I think as a first generation undocumented immigrant, it's hard to just exist. Like sometimes you always need to bring value or solve problems. And I feel like that was me. Like for the longest time, I'm trying to solve problems and bring value. And then illegally, well, it's just like, you know what? Just love yourself for who you are. Like you don't need to do any of this really. Like accept yourself, and people will still accept you and love you. They've been messing with you ever since then, you know?
Yeah.
Back just on some like just on branding where I feel like a lot of people already like resonate with illegal drip, and I'm like, all of this is internal, right? Like changing the name doesn't change the brand. I just need to move accordingly.
Yeah. I love how you're, those interviews that you do with other folks and like sharing your story, like showing your process of like designing with the voiceovers. It's really emotional. And I think that part of storytelling that you're showing to the people, yeah, that will help inspire other folks who are in the same boat, So I really like that
Yeah.
part of your branding. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm writing that down right now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm also figure out too like what works and what don't work. And sometimes I can be in my head, right? Where like
Yeah.
me and you have this conversation, but I'm not communicating that with the with like more people, and I just assume that people already know all of that. And then I realize after I do those little interviews and voiceover, I'm like, damn, like, you know.
Yeah. So I think like you said you are, community organizer, artist, entrepreneur. How do you envision in the long run using your platform as an immigrant rights advocate or raising awareness about, our experiences? So like, yeah. It's like goal, in the long run. How do you envision your brand being, or raising awareness?
Okay. So I think what I want to do right now is more so because I think for a while I was really like, all right, I want Illegal Drip to give people a job and donate to a bunch of nonprofit and come up with a lot of things, grants. But then I'm also like, you don't have your life together. Not to that point, but you know what I mean? Like I also don't have like that kind of capacity. So I feel like I still want to do that in a way that is, I think one thing, right, is just keep pushing that story of just even the stolen land. Let me branch out right here real quick and then come back to that. Because when I look at my community now, I think it's a mix of people, like not just undocumented folks.
Yeah.
But documented folks is like, I don't know, that's like where I feel like home most, and like my family. And now I have this concept of stolen land, and I have this idea. I need to still hash this brand out, but like an idea of like Los Angeles, because Los Angeles on a stolen land. So like we all came here. We're all in a way came here by choice or was displaced and came here, and we just got to make this place a home. But this home is a stolen land, and just embracing that. And I feel like I think that's where I feel like right now in life, where I just want all of us to be well, like mentally and for just like the day-to-day life, while still, stand on that pride of being undocumented, but not in a way of trauma bonding with people like, okay, we all are undocumented, yeah, but it's like
Let's all try together.
yeah, but still hold space for that. So I think when they raising awareness, I think it's not gonna be so much of like, hey, this is a struggle of an undocumented person, but more like what we have this conversation, like being able to validate each other and know that. And I'm saying this because I needed that the most. Like, there's a lot of days where I'm just kind of like, damn, you haven't done nothing, and I compare myself to what society demand or what other people amongst my peers have done, and I just like I've really just been trapped, running in circles and going through emotions. So, because I think there's already a lot awareness in terms of like undocumented fight, undocumented people, and I just want to be more like a man. Let's just hug, like like we're gonna be okay. And advocacy, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing packages with school. So and like people have invited me to go speak at their college, and I've done this for free for a long time. I think that's why I want to put it out there too, where I just keep sharing my story because I feel like I wanted to connect with people and it's meaningful to me. And but for a long time I didn't know if I actually have any value to share with people. So I didn't, sometimes schools can feel like that, where or even protests, like people just talking for the sake of talking and we're just hearing the same story. So I'm like, I want to be able to offer something. And recently, like just the fact that I made a decent amount of money the first year, and me being undocumented, being able to do this, whether how successful I am and how people measure it, I still got that experience and maybe a little bit of a push that I could share with people. So I think that's also one way I want to work with other undocumented folks, right? Like teaching them like I wrote it all down, like branding, using art as healing. I also learned how to meditate, and I feel like that had helped me significantly navigating life without DACA. So telling people that they can work as contractor as well. Like I'm not saying entrepreneurship not for everybody, but I think the goal is to have a stable life and a life filled with purpose. So it's not through a hustle, it's not through a stable job. Maybe it's a mix of both for me right now currently. So sharing all that information and just giving them really a step by step on how I build this clothing line, and like resources around it, like where can you make it, or where can you do your blanks, and if people want to run with that information they can. So that's one thing I want to do. And also I want to make more like creative space for
Mhm.
both and folks, and just like I say it, like people from the community who wants healing and wants and who are creative. And I wrote it all down too. I need to look at all my notes, but I'm doing this on the phone. But pretty much a community space for people to just, like, I still run that documented art collective via Zoom. We
Mhm.
took a break. It was like we're just doing it out of like, all right, it's nice for us to check in with each other. And now I want to do like a physical space where people can come band and have like a little festival where we have live music. People can come sell their crafts, like somebody makes soap, they can sell soap, sell clothes, sell whatever. But more so, it's just a place for people to commune.
Mhm.
So that's one thing I want to do too. And if the money up, I'm even thinking, right, like we can also crowd fund and like donate to like different undocumented folks who might be struggling. But the thing is, a lot of nonprofit already like have much more resource. So I'm also trying to work with them and have them fund some of these shows. So like we can have a undocumented plus community members marketplace
Right.
funded by stuff, right? Fund a way to like, like donate to different people and things like that. And I want to write a book and share my story in a very intentional way. Like my first goal, and I'm saying this out loud more now because I feel like I should step back into that. But my first goal, creative goal in life was to write manga.
Oh, no,
But
that's yeah.
that was my first dream because I think as a kid I was heavily influenced by like manga more than even anime, and I feel like I learned a lot from that, and I love children's book. I
Mhm.
love simplicity, entertainment, while like really holding emotional space and feeling and all that. But it's
Mhm.
always art, and I feel like storytelling is my end goal, I think, and
Yeah.
community building is my end goal. Like I think my end goal is to to one day maybe kick it with all of y'all, and then we have like a little barbecue picnic while
Yeah.
we all share stories and just talk about life, and we practice wellness, right? Whether that be like stretching, meditating, like biking, and I feel like I think that's the end goal. Everything else is really a vehicle. So right now I'm just working on my own stability mentally and financially, and I'm working on like creating more space and really knowing who I am, right? Knowing defining who I am so I can introduce myself to other people. And yeah, I think I'm all over the place for it, but that's what I have right now. Like I'm not gonna and I think advocacy look different now for me. And I don't know if that is advocacy, but I know that's what I want for myself, and that's what I want for my community, if I can even say that. I think I just want to share space with y'all, and yeah.
Okay. So last question that
Wow.
is, what would you like to say to people or immigrants who are struggling on finding their own hows and whens? Or like,
Or how
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Want to follow your footsteps, or even, start their creative journey as an entrepreneur in this, political
I
space, economy.
yeah. So I think the when the when could be whenever you're ready, or the when could be now. And I feel like a lot of times it's hard to start something because you want it to be perfect and you don't feel like you have all the answers yet.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, and I think there's different like archetype of people, right? Like I'm somebody who start before I'm ready.
Mhm.
Not saying it's the best thing, because then you also fall earlier and you can also be a whole mess, while other people really have a foundation and a structure and start. So that's why I say it depends on what type of person you are, right? Like when you're ready, or you can just start now. But maybe whichever path you want to choose, you can learn from each other. So you can either like, if you're more of like, I'll start when I'm ready, maybe just push yourself, give yourself a deadline so you can kind of just like lean start it. You know what I mean? So maybe the vision is this big, you just start this small, you know, like maybe, you know, it's like if you're making fried rice, maybe you just start with just making the rice, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe you're like, I need my ingredients chopped up before I can make this fried rice and get all the sauce. It's like, all right, I'm gonna just make the rice and then I'm gonna do this. And then if you're somebody who just start like, okay, I want a fried rice. All right, this is what I'm gonna do now. It's like, no, go get your sauce first, you know, go get the. So I feel like, I don't know, but yeah, I would say that, and talk to people. I think find people around you who pushes you to do things. Like this year, I had like stopped the clothing line for a while, and I had people come to my house and just like, hey, bro, this is $300. Whenever you drop clothes, I'm gonna buy it. Like this is a pre-order, and like even when the lady that gave me the job, she just like, you know, bro, I'm not gonna give you the contract for more than 6 months because I feel like you got something going on, and I'm not gonna hire you after 6 months. I feel like you can do more than this, you know, and that's love. And then I have people who are just like teaching me and surround. I think community is a big part, where surrounding yourself with people that you can learn from, but surround yourself the people that are willing to teach you and that love you. Because I also spent some time trying to find like people that bring me value, right? But they don't really show love to me, so it's different. I think the most important thing is not chasing new teachers or new audience or new customer, but more so catering to the people and the things that you already have around you and nurture and grow that. And the how, I think that is the how too. You just
Yeah.
nurture have. I think if there's anything I learned about the meditation thing, is that everything is already in you, and you can only do what you can do, and you can only meet yourself where you are. And like I just had a conversation with a friend, like today is perfect as it is. Yes, everything can be better, but it is perfect as it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Like, I feel like you're so grounded in what you do and, your journey. We can see you, going big and hitting, big goals in 2024. And thank you so much for sharing your goals, vision with us. So yeah, this gets cut off. Thank you so much for your time. We would love to know more about you, maybe do a part 2, in the future if you have time. But really excited to see what 2024 holds for you, your work, and everything you do, Bo. Thank you so much.
Nah, thank you so much. I know I speak a lot. I appreciate y'all. Like,
You gave us so much wisdom.
Yeah.
And, it's really, you're really captivating, like the way you tell your story. And yeah, you're a flow. Yeah. Flowy speaker, storyteller, So yeah, I really appreciate, and I've been following your journey and I really look up to you. You're really inspirational. So